All right, welcome back. This is M-Dog, and we are fishing at Amber 84-147. Seems like this is the spot for today. There's obviously still other spots working, but if you look around, at least in our Discord channel on the VK site, it appears as though a lot of folks are catching some really nice fish out of this spot. So I'm actually trying 3 different setups. 2 of them are snowman rigs, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Again, there's a lot of people doing a lot of different testing and different approaches. Most of what I have going on right now, if not all, are things that I saw Babaka Fisher posting and talking about in our Discord channel. So it's a little different than your typical approach or what you might see on the weeklies list, but I always like to try things a little different. So I thought I would give these combinations a try. Did want to point out that it looks like tonight, for if you're on the East Coast in North America, where I am at least, 2 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, there's going to be a restart server maintenance for 2 hours. You know, I could be reading this time incorrectly. Let's think about this. Yeah, I think that's right. So this is May 31st. It'll be tonight after midnight at 2 a.m. Eastern time. Now, technical work, this is a little different than the way they label some updates. So to me, this in all likelihood means that there won't be any kind of new content or anything like this, but it's also a little different than just a normally scheduled downtime. It does say here the server will be restarted. So I think that is code for it will impact fish migration. That's my thought here. 2-hour downtime. Yeah, so we'll see. I could be wrong. My impression of that is that no, it's not going to be new content. It literally will be some sort of technical work they're doing server side. And because the servers are being reset, fish migration will be impacted. So it is possible if you're seeing this video June 1st or anytime after that, if in fact the fish migration was impacted by the downtime, then you know this is often a good spot to fish. In fact, I think back in, was it 2020 or maybe 21? I don't know. When I did my Carp Fishing 101 video, this is actually the spot I was fishing from. So this often is a good spot, but it could be different once the servers get reset. It may not be working as it is right now. So I have just put the lines in. It's very interesting. We've got 2 frames in a row on the same bait. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're catching these frames on. This is not the rig that I thought would be the most active, but so far it has been. Again, we just put our lines in. We are using the same PVA across the board, so we won't look at that till the end. But you can see here, snowman rig on first and third rig. But look at the size of the boilies we're using. However, we are using corn. You know, one thing I need to check for Babaka Fisher to see if when he was using this rig, was he in fact doing 1 corn or 2? It looks like he was also doing 1 corn. Sometimes that does make a difference. So that's the first setup we've got. The other thing that I'm not sure of, because sometimes this changes too, is where exactly we want to cast. Recently, left of peg 1 has been pretty decent. Old school, right of peg 1 is sometimes good, but most often at peg 1, straight across is often the way to go. But so this works out perfectly. We can take a look at what's on this line as soon as we get this fish in. This is the one that is not snowman. So first and third lines are snowman rigs. This middle line is classic hair rig, so a little bit closer to what we've been using, although you will notice that everything we're using right now is a little more Tutti Frutti centric than what I've been doing recently. And this is going to be a really nice banger of a way to start the morning here with a 6-kilo mirror ghost carp. Wow, 3rd fish in, beautiful rare. We'll take it. So this is what we're using here on the middle line. Natural pellets, size 20. And then craft baits Tutti Frutti, which I haven't used craft baits Tutti as much as I've used the other brand of Tutti Fruity Boilies. So it's cool to try these out. And then once again, the Helen Van Zant Tutti Fruity Dip. So we'll give it a minute, see if we get a fish on the third line, and then I'll show you what's on that. If we don't get a fish pretty soon, then I'll show you anyway. So we are 35 meter clip per normal for this spot. We are casting again right at that peg 1. And let's go ahead and get a read really quick. I haven't done this in a long time. But let's see. Oh, look at the old Everest 2. Old school players will remember Everest 2. This reel caught a lot of fish. But not by me. This was Wrangler's. If you know Wrangler, this was his reel. Oh, was this Wrangler or Rift? I honestly can't remember. It was either Wrangler or Rift, sorry. They both were there when I first started playing this game pretty early on. And one of them was just done with the Everest 2. Obviously, much better things came out. So, anyway, one of them let me. All right, let me take this phone call real quick, and we'll be checking this marker real fast. It's always nice when I can just keep fishing. All right, let me see. So it was clay, right? Let's see if we can get that notification again. So at 35 meters, it's clay. Here at Amber, clay is often a good sign. And then if we open the reel and let that marker float up to the top, just out of curiosity. So you see where we are at 35 meters. We're pretty far over there, right? Pretty cool. And then if we close it and straighten it up, it should give us the depth. Yeah, so we've got 2.15 meter depth. 2.2 is what it's showing now. So there you go. Clay, about 2.2 meter depth. Sometimes it's good to to see what that is when you're fishing a spot, just in terms of deciding how you want to approach it. So right now we do have stuff that I would say tends to go with clay. The brown camo, the type of lead core and leader we're using. Also the sinkers we're using. Now this leader, but I'm not sure, if I remember correctly, it's not so much about leader color as it is about lead core and sinker color. So we may be okay even with that setup in terms of just trying to have the ideal approach here. So this is really interesting to me. You see how the bite rate, even though this is, even though we've got these pretty big boilies on here, the moment you go to snowman rig and throw on the artificial corn, I think it does have a tendency to increase the bite rate, but also it can increase the amount of small fish you're catching. At least that's my experience. It's often the case, which is why if I was making PVA for this spot, which I still haven't showed you what the PVA is, but if I was making PVA, I think I would use smaller bags. I actually had some Tutti PVA that I'm just sort of using up. All right, I don't think we've caught anything on this third line. We have not, right? What did leather come in on? Yeah, that was line 1 again. Line 1 is killing it, but so line 3 right now is this is the setup we're using. We're using the other brand of dip. We're also using Old Pal Tutti, and notice they're soluble boilies with the red colored corn. So really just a completely different approach here. Still snowman like the first rig. But one thing I'm wondering is if this one is, it might be the location we've casted this one. I don't know. It could just be random. But if this one continues to be this slow, we'll probably change the setup. But that's what we're using right now. And there is the very standard Tutti Frutti PVA, which is why I already had some mixed up. Now, remember, we're still using some vanilla stuff, and you may decide to integrate even more vanilla or neutral. Those are the other flavors that have been working recently, right? And if you do, you might want to have a PVA that at least includes some vanilla. Like if I was making it, I probably wouldn't put all Tutti Frutti in there. I'd probably put vanilla in there as one, and I might even consider putting the vanilla attractant. And then with some of these baits, I might work in a vanilla flavor to go with the Tutti. Just those are the two flavors right now that seem like they're working really well. Not that those are the only flavors, but they do seem to be working pretty well. So I'm using a different mouse because my middle mouse button had stopped working on my main mouse. So I'm still trying to get used to this one. It doesn't have the same amount of buttons. Mainly, well, let me see if I can figure this out. Mainly the buttons that are underneath the scroll wheel are not the same. And then there's an extra one on the side. I don't know. It's just different. So I'm having to use backspace for, unless I reprogram it. Right now I'm having to use backspace to put stuff away. But anyway. All right, so let's see. I mean, this one really, even though it is a little bit towards the right side of the middle of peg 1, It's not that far off. I don't think that should affect it too much. We're going to give this third rod a little bit more time, and then we'll probably just switch the approach we're using completely. Let me pick a different setup. I might go more vanilla on that one. Or at least try to work in the vanilla a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see. Other thing that's tempting, especially if you move down to 10-gram bags, is I think at least having one line with just, you know, Tutti corn and just to have a really nice bite rate on one line. The fact that there's rare carp here means that a really high bite rate can work to your advantage. So I could see doing that on one line. If you want to just go for silver and go for a really active spot, do that on all three of your lines. But I'm kind of at a point where I want to at least leave the door open of catching a trophy. Is that another frame? This setup here is just killing the frames right now. That's not where I meant to cast that. Again, this mouse feels so different to me. The adjustment is real. 3 frames and a leather on that first rig, and then the middle rod has only caught 1 fish, but it was the mirror ghost. So, and again, this is the one that's classic hair versus snowman. I guess what we should really do is just come up with just change this to pop up and either just do corn or maybe do like vanilla and corn. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to give it to, I'm just going to give it to 1600. If we haven't caught a fish by then, I'm trading this one out. Now, this is rough. I mean, we've been, again, I've done this before. The moment I hit record, we were out of the like hot part of the morning, but this is just when I got my rods in the water. And, you know, we'll probably stop recording right when it's about to heat up again. So we're kind of seeing the slowest part of the day for carp fishing here, but that's okay. We're at least getting a realistic view of what it's like during the day, the middle of the day. I also should check the weather. I'm curious what weather's looking like today and then also in the coming days. This is yet another frame. Small guy, but again, that's snowman for you. Definitely open yourself up to more small fellas. Pretty steady weather, and it looks good. I mean, I think anytime right around 20, maybe 19, but I mean, I think we're in an okay weather pattern. Amber's fairly consistent most of the time. $15 more in-game minutes, and then we're switching. Oh, middle line. So after we get this in, we'll switch in the third line. What if it was 2 for 2 on rare carp? Woo! Alright, this is our first common of the day. So just look at how different a result we're getting on different baits. Which is why at any given time, it is worth just changing it up a little bit. You know, I was watching back that stream where I think it was Joe had mentioned and I have always said this, I've thought it a lot, and we've talked about it before too. This isn't like original to me, but it was interesting to hear Joe say it as well. Those weeklies, that is such a self-fulfilling prophecy. Don't get too locked into to weekly records, because a lot of people see the weeklies, so they use those baits, those lures, and so it continues to feed the weeklies, over time. So do not be afraid to mix it up a little bit. All right, let's see. Is there a vanilla pop-up we could use that wouldn't slow us down? So we could do 20. I almost want to try 15 though. It doesn't work with the, let's try 15. That's what my instinct says. And we'll keep the red Tutti on there. We'll keep everything else the same. And I'm going to cast this slightly. Oh, wait. That's another issue, by the way, is we may have been casting. So I used the same amount of force to cast it, but I did not have the clip set on this third rod. So that first setup I had, it may have worked. That might have been a user error, not getting any bites on that third rod. I had forgotten that, but when I threw that out, I noticed that was the only rod that didn't have a clip set. Oh, look how quickly we had a bite. Oh, that makes me wonder if it was the clip, not the baits. Oh well. So we're going to catch smaller fish on this one, right? We're using 15 boilies instead of 20, and we're using single corn. But I figured let's just get a better view of what all's in the water and what this kind of bait approach. So this is a combination of vanilla and Tutti. And again, if I made another PVA mix, this is sort of what I would probably embrace, is a little bit of a combination of both. So for example, I would do something like, all right, so we do a couple of Tuttis. We'll do the big one, right? The 10. And then maybe a 6. Kind of in the middle. And then here I would do vanilla. We have vanilla 3. And actually on this, and so then I'd probably do vanilla as the attractant. Again, just trying to balance between maybe vanilla cream even, or maybe vanilla. I think I would do just straight vanilla. And then what I'm not sure of is, would I go with some sort of crushed boilie? I think it might be worth looking at that. Vanilla or Tutti, you could go either way. I've crushed up vanilla explosive before, and that's been pretty good in PVA. Is there anything we just have a ton of? Yeah, we've got a ton of these. Oh, we've got a ton of these. We also have a bunch of vanilla 8. So maybe we do vanilla 12 though. Crush that up. And then we'll go back to this. Put that in there. So now we've got some good vanilla Tutti stuff. So I'll go ahead and make a batch, and we're going to turn this into 10-gram bags, because this would lean more into a heavy bite rate. Still trying to get the possibility of trophies, but at least with 1 or 2 rods leaning into the bite rate a little bit too. I could see that working well. I would probably reset before putting that on, so if it works well, maybe I'll do a second video down later today, but that's more of like, and then I would try to incorporate, kind of like we did with this one, a little bit of vanilla and Tutti in the actual setup of the baits and boilies and all that. I'm not saying it'll work, that's just something I might try. Hopefully we'll still see like 3 or 4 more fish as it gets to be late afternoon here. I think there's a pretty good chance we will, but There is something about that first rod that is just absolutely hitting the frames. It's so weird, isn't it? It's the only thing that we've caught frames on is that first approach, but it is hitting them nice. So I guess if you were trying to get a frame trophy, kind of basing something off of this approach might be the way to go. Alright, so there's one more. We'll try to wait a couple more minutes. I mean, it's been a slow day, but again, we've been in the middle of the day here. It's going to be so much better in the morning and the evening, and I feel like we're still getting dialed in. But, you know, you can tell from looking around at, look at this first line. I mean, why don't we just have all 3 rigs set up with this? That's the question that you start to ask yourself. You can tell from looking around at both VK as well as folks in my Discord channel that there's just some nice carp coming out of this spot right now. So if you're fishing at amber, I would definitely have this be part of your rotation. Until we get a little better dialed in, I don't know that it's it's another frame. I don't know that you're setting any records here, but it's some decent, like, consistent silver XP, especially when you consider morning and evening times. And I like that snowman rig approach with having a 25 size boilie. It's not really affecting the bite rate, but I feel like it does offset the fact that so often you're going to catch, you know, really, you're going to tend to catch smaller fish sometimes on the snowman. Look at this leather, though. That was a nice leather. I forgot that we got that on that same bait. It's been a while since I've caught leather at amber. For me personally, the approaches I've been using or the spots that I've been at, I just haven't seen leather showing up a lot. I think there is another nibble on line 1. Unless that was something else happening. See those circles in the water happening? I think we're about to catch another fish on line 1. Ooh, nice. We're getting something on 2 now. Right in the sunshine. I think it's a common. There's that nibble we saw before. It's finally, looks like, taking the bait. Maybe. No one is surprised. It's another frame. Alright, so the fish are starting to come in a little more quickly now that it's cooling off a little bit towards the end of the day here. Although line 3 is still a little quiet, perhaps time to just go to Tutti corn on that one. It's another common. Still using up this older PVA. See if we can wait for one more fish. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 12, one rare, one decent leather. What could we do on this middle line? Maybe just change it to what line 1 is. I don't know. I might go 2 that are set up like this, and then 1 that is maybe just the Tutti corn. I think before 11 p.m. we'll get one more fish. That's why I'm still keeping the video going a little bit longer. We've had what, one mirror maybe? Oh no, no mirrors, just the ghost carp. Well, that might make overnight a little slower. We'll see. If it gets to midnight, we haven't gotten another one, we'll stop, but I suspect we'll get one more on. If nothing else, line 1 will come through for us, it looks like. Oh, there we go. All right. That's a decent one. Come in a little sideways. I can't tell what it is. Is it just a common? Yeah, I think it's just a common. Nice. That's what we want to see. Snowman. That's not a carp at all, is it? It's a bream. Interesting. So all 3 lines going off here right at 11 p.m. But the best one was line 3 on that common, I think. It's another common. Alright, this will be a good time to stop. Okay, so I mean, I think overnight will be okay, but what you really want to see is what happens first thing in the morning. What is going on with this? Is there a fish on? There is. I could not figure out why the line looked like that. About 4 a.m. I think this spot will start going off here. Alright, I'll probably make some adjustments. Oh, is this finally our first mirror? I'll probably make some adjustments, and again, if I kind of land in on something that seems like it's working really well, we might do a follow-up. Yep, there's a mirror. That's a good sign. Might help our overnight not be quite as slow. Alright, so anyway, 84, 147, over here at E4, 35 meter clip. We're using a variety of Tutti and vanilla, neutral stuff. Some rare carp, some trophies coming out for people. Seems like it's worth trying. We'll go ahead and stop this now, and we'll see how it goes. I might make some adjustments and do some more testing. But as always, thanks for watching. Tight lines, and I will see you next time.